again, let's have another look at the papers. With us this morning to review them, the journalist and broadcaster Vidisha and business advisor and author Alison Stewart. Alan, hello again to you both. Our last round, let's get straight into it. Let's have a look at the front of the Daily Telegraph. Good news, more flights being cancelled, Vidisha. This does not sound good.
No, it really doesn't. I've always wanted to be on TV and use the word omni-shambles, and I finally get the chance to do that.
Well, only now?
Only now, just for you guys. Look forward to a summer of holiday airline chaos. This is not news because it's been brewing for at least 3 weeks beforehand, but the latest sort of locus of unfortunate events is Heathrow Airport. But of course, all of the major airports and the major airlines have been axing flights, and all you have to do is go on Twitter and see passengers who've been in queues for many hours, taking video footage of lost luggage and stuff that's piled up in queues for security and checking and going practically out of the door. This is because of a number of things: staff shortages, fuel rise hikes, unprecedented, although you would have thought it would have been predictable, rise in demand from passengers, as well as dotted areas of strike action across the airline industry. Because, of course, workers at these airlines, many of them were laid off during the pandemic, so they're not just agitating for increased wages, they're also saying, look, restore our wages, because you laid us off and then you wanted us back and you couldn't think it through, you couldn't figure out that people would be suddenly wanting to go on holiday after not being able to. So it's everything happening at the same time. The frightening thing for consumers is that the airlines are being very cagey about the future. They're saying they are aware but still not complacent about what's happening. What they're not doing is promising an end date to the chaos. So I think that's a sign to wannabe holidaymakers that this kind of confusion, chaos, delays, they're here to stay, at least for the coming holiday period.
Well, we're looking at the cancellations. I'm just having a look at this article. One of the arguments is that it's not a huge number of flights that have been cancelled, and the airlines say, listen, we've already told people that these flights are going to be cancelled. So this is saying that more than 1 in 25 flights out of the UK on Thursday were cancelled on the day. 1 in 25, it doesn't sound a lot, Vidisha.
I think that's true. The overwhelming majority of journeys are eventually happening. And of course, when you're disgruntled and you're in the queue and you're tweeting about it and telling everyone, that has an outsized effect, because then everyone gets into a sort of siege or emergency mentality. But I think the fundamental social contract in all of this is that you book your flight, you usually pay thousands of pounds. Let's say you have a partner and some kids coming along, it's already in the thousands. And you show up in the faith that it's going to happen. I don't think people mind delays. I think we're all pulling into this together. I think it's the cancellations and the uncertainty.
Yeah, true. Okay, let's look at the front. Is it the FT? It's the front of the FT, I think, yeah. This is worrying. It's around Roe v. Wade being overturned by the Supreme Court and data. Just talk us through what Google are doing, Alison.
Yes, well, isn't it interesting that historically, a lot of the app activity that you as a user, if you're on an Android phone, which is a Google operating system, it's Google software, a lot of your activity, especially if it's sort of a pregnancy app or a period tracker or any kind of healthcare app, that data, unbeknownst to you, the user, is purchasable. So Google has recognized, and perhaps should have done this a long time ago, but closed a loophole that says that we're not making this data for sale anymore. Now, what does this do for users? It makes you very wary, and it makes you really wonder about the privacy laws that allow for an app publisher to be able to capture that data and then sell it on to third parties for a very hefty profit. So we're already in an era where we don't trust big data companies, and this is yet another sign that historically Google specifically has been selling your information, especially around something very personal like pregnancy. And why we care about this now is because with the Roe v. Wade decision, many states obviously have had trigger laws which says no abortions allowed from 6 weeks on. And of course, now maybe many of these states will want to monitor residents, women in their state, who are thinking about buying pregnancy termination pills or traveling out of state for abortions. And it's a surveillance issue, really, that should have Americans extremely worried.
It was alarming, wasn't it, when that ruling was overturned, or when that case was overturned, all these rights activists or privacy activists coming out on Twitter and saying, delete all your data, delete all your data. It almost didn't, it was surreal. Badisha, did you see some of those tweets?
Yes, I absolutely did, and I think it's completely outrageous because, of course, whenever we're online, we have a sort of thought in the back of our minds that big tech is probably tracking our purchases, the cute stuff we buy on Etsy or Amazon. It's not that. It's exactly what Amazon, what Alison is saying, which is that they know everything about you. So if you are having a pregnancy and you want it to be terminated, you could now be criminalized for that. Every journey you take, they know where you are. They know what little things you're buying and where you're going. And of course, this is purchasable information. They do not care about you and your welfare or the circumstances of your life. It's outrageous that we're subject to this surveillance, but also that our most intimate details about sleeping, waking, periods, menstrual, sexual health are considered to be nothing more than exploitable, profitable information.
No, it's extraordinary. Alison, let's talk about mortgages. Page 5 of The Guardian, let's bring that up. A lot of people will be interested in this. New 50-year mortgages, that's the idea.
Yes, and maybe a really good idea, especially in the economic climate that we're in. You know, house prices are going up, inflation is going up, and accessibility of houses by first-time buyers is pretty weak and almost non-existent in many parts of the UK. And the hope is that by being able to offer a 50-year mortgage, which maybe has people think, you know, this is insane, I'm not even going to live in this property for 50 years. In some ways, that doesn't matter. What matters is that you can get people into the housing market away from renting and building up a nest egg, building up capital and ownership. And this seems one of the better ways to do it. The big constraint or bottleneck, I guess, is the amount of property even available, especially in large cities, you know, Manchester, London, Birmingham, etc.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Yeah, I mean, that's the point, isn't it? We're going to have to leave it there. Badisha and Alison, thanks a lot. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.